So episode 91 was actually like I want to say like a microcosm of different things and just mixed emotions and all that. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you are new, I would appreciate it if you considered subscribing. Let's go ahead and break down what I thought of the episode and what I liked and didn't like. So that being said, episode 91 really, truly, and honestly kind of takes place with basically these guys just in one room. They've come to the conclusion that they have all of the members, and they're starting to formulate their strategy at this point. And, you know, the funny thing about this is they're like, oh, where's Vegeta? Oh, you've been ignoring Vegeta, so he went to go train on his own. And then they cut over to Kami's lookout or Dende's lookout, whatever, the lookout. And he's going into the room of spirit and time, the time chamber. And Popo's like, bro, if you break this room again, you're banned. And then I was like, oh my God, Popo is literally epitomizing the Popo memes throughout all the years. He's like the one true God. He is secretly Torybot. And he's like, you know, you're banned if you break the room again. And I'm just like, well, you know, it kind of makes me wonder, like, this is setting aside all the inconsistencies with it, because at this point, there were rules in place in Z. He shouldn't be able to use this room anymore, at least at this point. He's used it too many times for too long, but which we can kind of infer. I don't think they ever directly state how long he's been in there. Maybe in the last arc they said he was in there for a day or something. I don't know. Either way, I digress with that. You know, it just makes me wonder. It's like this is supposed to be like an alternate dimension, you know, the separate plane. How do you guys sit there and just, for one, how did you build it in the first place? Secondly, how do you rebuild it? It's destroyed. Like, not just the door, it's just like the whole thing is destroyed, which it's weird. Anyways, so Popo's like, yeah, you're banned. And that's funny because from there we cut back to the Zenos, and the Zenos want to know what's going on. They're getting bored. They're playing rock, paper, scissors. They're getting bored. So the Daishinkan pulls out his all-seeing crystal ball, and he just informs them as to what's going on with a lot of the universes. And one thing that I like about this is you really get to see the contrast in the way that the universes are portrayed. For example, Universe 6 is like this. Every time we've seen Universe 6, for the most part, I think it's always been this gloomy, rainy, dark kind of place. But then we cut back to Topo's universe, which is Universe 10? No, Universe 11, I think. I'm not very good with all that. They just threw way too much information, character names, all that stuff. It's going to take a while for me to truly get it down packed. Regardless, we cut there, and then, you know, they've got these, like, nightclub areas and stuff, and they're chilling. And then we cut to that one universe with Brienne, and I was like, oh, okay, so this is why, because, you know, we're going to cut back to Roshi in a moment. But this is why Roshi wanted to conquer his weakness. But I can't wait for him to come across her like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. What happened when you transform? Because she turns into like this big old glump of, I don't know. To each his own, man. If you still like that, that's fine. Either way, you know, they're basically holding tryouts. So I don't know. Will that be a full female team or a diva team or idol team? I don't know what they're doing with that universe. Either way, that universe is portrayed like really glitz and glamoury. It's just like you see the contrasts, and Universe 7 seems to be like the most normal, bland universe there is, where everyone else has a little bit more character to them, because they're obviously doing that to kind of allow you to differentiate as the viewer. So that's a cool little contrast there. But they're doing that with that universe. And one of the cool things about this is we come back to Goasu, man. Goasu is like, you know, those you guys talked about, and we saw their team, and basically, forget their Mushi Mushi or whatever their name is. The freaking, I said Mushi Mushi. I know that's not it. That can't even remotely be it. But their freaking God of Destruction, Elephant guy, Goasu's universe. You know, they formulated that team with all those musclehead guys. And you can't really take them seriously, especially not in this episode. You couldn't take them seriously last episode because they're like timing their protein consumption and stuff, which is a very real world thing. If you work out, you know, people do actually do that. They make sure that they stay on an interval and they get their protein and stuff like that in if they work out. So that's cool and all, but like in this episode, they're sitting there dancing to as the Daishinkan said or whatever. He was like, to formulate their unity, to improve their unity. And they're dancing, and their angel is dancing with them too. And Goasu's in there recording it like, oh my God, this is gonna get so many views. And I'm like, bro, this man is still with the God tube. He hasn't stopped God tubing. And it's funny because even with like the threat of destruction, he still has time to put out content. Man, that's like dedication. Like, I need to reach that level of dedication with my YouTube channel, because Goasu's a thug with that. So anyways, a couple other things that happened in the middle of all this that I think that was pretty cool was the callback, right? Roshi, I mean, Yamcha's in the room. I actually did a video, which I implore you guys to check out. You know, I was talking about whether or not, it was joking. It wasn't very serious because even the show doesn't take it serious. But Yamcha's like, hey, waiting for that invitation still. And Roshi comes over and he's like hanging over the balcony and like with a rope, and Oolong is holding him up. I'm just like, why did you have to do all that? And Oolong is like, he kind of pays homage to that because he's like, oh, I can't hold you, I can't hold you. It's like, what? Okay, whatever. So he asks him to come upstairs or to the roof, and then he says, hey, can you have Puar turned into a peachy peachy guy? And he's like, well, Oolong, won't you do it? And Oolong's like, no, I got traumatized one time. I let him get a Pafu Pafu. And that was basically that one time back in like Dragon Ball where he had to turn into Bulma. There was actually a couple of instances where Oolong turned into Bulma to kind of fool Roshi, but Roshi knows that that's one of his weaknesses. I don't know how seriously you could take it because of the way that he responded to it. He's like, oh my god, once Puar did it on his own, it's like, that's a cat, like, or a magical cat, whatever. It's an animal. You freaking bestiality over here, even though it looks like a guy. But no, at the same time, you can't really take it seriously because he's like, oh, my body's moving on its own. And it's like a serious thing for him. And I wonder how he'll respond to like Caulifla and Kale and all those different potential female characters that'll be there. And, he doesn't really respond that way to 18 too much because she'll be able to kind of knock him out. But it's interesting. I don't know. But that's pretty much everything of consequence in the episode. Aside from that, they talk about Boo and Boo falling asleep, and oh yeah, this is cool too. Beerus is like, no. He did that during the Universe 6 tournament, and honestly, I've hated this guy ever since that pudding incident. Goku, take me with you. I'm gonna go beat his ass. And it's like, this man, freaking Beerus got a grudge. He hates Boo. He just legitimately doesn't like Boo. I thought that he had gotten over the pudding thing, and he still isn't over it. So that's funny. And by the way, Goku and Whis do train a little bit, so there's that, and Goku bites him, because Goku needs to bite somebody every arc, apparently, ever since Dragon Ball Z, he has to do it. So that's cool, and yeah, so I'm not even going to get into it anymore. Just Beerus is just like, bro, fuck that guy. And Majin Buu's asleep, and they kind of play, oh, there's one more thing in there, they kind of play devil's advocate, too. It's like, they know that we don't like that, but they keep doing it, and they play with it too because they're like, oh, well, they're using the same excuse. So he keeps using the same excuse. They even say that in the episode. But one more thing is, I've talked about it, not really ad nauseum, not really too much on the channel personally, but I've talked about it in collabs on some of my friends' channels and stuff like that, or live streams or whatever that I'm part of. But, the thing about it is Goku seems to have some sort of new form, and we've talked about that a lot because it seems like it. But I think that the new form is honestly just a base form, because the outro kind of shows him in the base form. The intro shows him in the base form a lot. I think that's really what they're going to go for. The one thing, though, is in this episode, the Elder Kai says, hey, I can pull out your latent potential. And then the Supreme Kai says, hey, yeah, that's going to take 25 hours. We simply don't have that time. So that's something people have thought about for a long time, like a Mystic Goku or an Ultimate Goku, whatever. And, potential, excuse me, I kind of started a little bit. Potential, something that's not really tangible. It continues to grow, which I didn't necessarily agree with, but I can't really disagree because the show is blatantly telling us that. But regardless, it's something that continues to grow. So a character of Goku's ilk that can get as strong as he can, having all of his potential unlocked at the moment would be ridiculous. And it seems like that may be somewhere along the lines of what they're doing with him. And I don't know if they'll have a chance to do the Elder Kai thing, the Rokai-Shin thing, but it's just something to kind of parking lot because they did think about it and talk about it here. So maybe that'll come back in the future. I don't know. And last but not least, we did see in the outro, basically, or the next episode preview, Kale a little bit, and Caulifla goes Super Saiyan, which isn't a surprise. We knew that was going to happen. But Kale is kind of like lurking. She looks like super jealous. We know who Kale is, so we'll come back to that. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. If you are new to the channel, subscribe if you are new, of course. And as always, I have been your host, Steve Free. And quick programming note, if you guys are interested in Pokemon content, I do a lot of it. I probably upload a few videos a week on my secondary channel, which is linked in the description. It is called Pokemon Central, so I hope you guys enjoy that as well, because I'm a pretty wacky guy over there. But anyways, as always, thank you guys for the continued support. I deeply mean it. I really do, honestly. Some people say it. I truly mean it. And, you know, I love all you guys a little bit more that kind of watch my discussions and not just like, you know, like my gameplay videos. But anyways, that's it for me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.